To be or not to be? That is the question that preoccupies our people, Captain Kirk. Do you not hear the chimes at midnight? Sorry, wrong. That was a promo for my Star Trek 6 discussion, which we filmed live at a movie theater. Hello, welcome back to another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today we're focused on Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Episode 6, Scavengers.
Scavengers.
No
one's going to get that.
No one's going to get that. No, someone might. Some people might. There's the disclaimer. Hi, guys. How are you?
I'm well.
I'm also well.
That is good.
There you
go. I'm having a bad wig day.
Introductions are gone.
I'm having a bad wig day. I'm not sure what's going on with my wig. Earl Grey Trekkie is not watching. He's sleeping by now.
Sleep tight.
And good morning when you watch the replay. Hello, Mr. Earl Grey Trekkie, EGT. Yosef is watching this. It means I am not. Great. Great. I don't know if that's good or not. Alexandra, decisions. Yes. good old Yosef. Hello, Shishan girl. Greetings to C. Klebina and Timmy McCoy. Ooh, I like your last name, Timmy. Great episode today, The Avengers.
And Nick Kowalski, I know you're not watching this, but you're wrong. This was a good episode. This was not the worst episode of the season. I disagree with you, sir.
You can counterpoint Kowalski's video here, and then when I go watch it, I'll see it.
I'll counterpoint his video while he can't respond because he's not with us. But yeah, anyway.
Sometimes Nick is in the audience. Sometimes he's listening in the background while he does his machinations.
Machinations.
It's true. Toddy, since you like the episode so much, we're gonna put you on the spot, and you'll do the episode summary if that's okay. I'm ready to do it though. I just watched the episode.
I can do it. I can try do a short summary, and then we can jump into like whatever it is that we enjoyed or not.
By the way, kudos.
I don't know if PJ liked it or not, but
yeah, we don't know. I'm excited to find out. I didn't even ask him. Go for it.
All right. The Discovery is now officially a refit ship, and her crew has been ordered to stay.
I gotta stop you right there. Just say that I am so happy that they refit it. I am not so happy about the A. It didn't need an A. The Enterprise, the 1701 didn't get an A.
Refits don't get letters normally.
It's now you can't. Now Calypso's out of canon.
It's secretly a tribute to Canada, though. Discovery, eh?
Discovery, eh? That's what they should have written. They should have written eh on
it. PH, yeah.
All right, carry on. Good job.
The Discovery has been refit. Her crew has been ordered to stay on board, and it makes sense now because we don't want the secret of the spore drive to be leaked across the galaxy and Starfleet. So everyone stays on board, and the sanctioned official mission of the ship is stay put, because maybe sometime within the next 12 hours, we're going to need you to be like the rapid response unit for whatever thing that's going down somewhere. That doesn't jive well with Burnham. She's all like, nah, I need to go and find Book, save him, and I need to go and get a black box from another Starfleet ship or whatever, because that might help us resolve this whole, what was it, the burn situation. So she grabs Giorgio, which is the other only person that's not a crew member, and they go off and they have this like action adventure jailbreak, also heist kind of thing, where they take back the black box and they save Book from one of the major, I think, players in the Emerald chain. They managed to come home. Burnham gets told off.
Oh wait, you forgot Burnham makes out.
She makes out with Book. I don't know why they were trying to make that not a thing for like the first 5 episodes, and then all of a sudden it is. But
because sometimes
they finally have their make out. Their make out moment in the turbo lift. Burnham gets demoted. So there's consequences to her actions. And while all this was going on, we had a few subplots with Adira trying to make friends on the ship. Cobra and Stamets are going back to life as a couple. And Tilly was helping out. So with the spore drive and making it better, as well as Adira. And she was also helping out Saru with his decisions.
And
So,
Stamets
yeah.
gets his life back. I guess we can talk about
I suppose,
good.
yeah. Stamets is no longer genetically engineered, so he now fits in better with
Well, he's still
Roddenberry's original vision for the original series.
I think he still has the tardigrade DNA
Genes inside him,
genes
yeah,
or whatever, but I
may
think
be
he no
true.
longer needs a shunt to connect a painful. It's no longer a painful connection. Hopefully, with the goo. With the gel. Very good summary. I just want to add that
it's a smaller episode in the sense, and I'm going to be honest, I would like it if Discovery continued in this kind of path where now we have a headquarters that we can report back to, and every episode is a bit of a mission, right?
you want Space Patrol, but also I just want to point out real quickly that Burnham gets demoted. You didn't mention that, did you, or did I miss it?
Oh yeah, no, I mentioned it. Burnham gets demoted.
Oh, sorry. She gets demoted.
To be fair, this is very much like a kind of self-contained story, but I think it also works well as the seasonal style episode, right? It's not just episodic. It's got a quality to it where it kind of sets up the tone for the rest of the season. In regards to Burnham no longer being first officer, who's first officer now? The one that's always taking the captain's
Maybe
chair?
Nilsson. Yeah, I think maybe
Yeah.
Nilsson will become first officer.
You're talking about
That'll be
Reese?
interesting.
Not Reese.
Or-
Price.
No, the one
No,
that
Reese.
the actor that used to be Arian.
Oh, really? Because I thought.
She's always on the captain's chair.
Oh, really? Okay.
All right, well, let's talk about it, PJ. What did you think of this episode?
Yeah, good and bad, mixed bag
Oh, no.
for me. It's like all that Orion mining place, wherever the hell they were. All of that looked just so old-fashioned and like just archaic and not futuristic at all, and just way too gritty and like rusty shelves, and everything looks it just looks like an old modern place, and with like a bunch of like different props like to make it look convincing enough. I do like some of the aliens and the crew in that on that planet. I don't like any of the stuff with Burnham and Giorgio on Book's ship. That whole thing about I love, which where Burnham's like, I loved here, and she's like, you said loved,
Right.
and they're like, and they
I
have
liked all that
cringe.
stuff.
I hated all that
Cringe.
What about
also,
the flashbacks?
Giorgio's exchange
Yeah.
with the Orion when she first communicates with him through the hologram? Didn't like any of that dialogue. It was like very amateurish kind of dialogue, but it's weird because this episode also has really good scenes. One in particular with between Saru and Tilly, and another one at the end between Admiral Vance, Saru, and Burnham, and then Burnham and Saru alone. That whole thing was like executed perfectly and very well written and very well acted. And then you have the part with Giorgio where she's kind of like remembering her dead son, I guess.
Is that
That's
who that was? Her dead son?
I think it's her kid. I have
She
no
says
idea.
son. I couldn't tell.
I don't know. I only saw it once.
I heard something like a name, but I could be mistaken.
Some fallen comrade that she. Braxton says PJ hates Star Trek. No, but yeah, the part where her Burnham is concerned for Giorgio at the end and says, like, are you okay? You can come to me and talk to me and stuff like that. And Michelle Yeoh's acting there, and the way that's played is really good, really really good. And the whole time when Michael was doing her whole rogue thing, and that's what we have to accept now. She's gonna be like this. It's confirmed now that she's obsessed with finding out what the burn is about, and she will actually keep doing this. And she even says to Saru, like, you did the right thing. I'm only gonna.
The Admiral admits that she did the right thing too.
That's the thing. I thought like Saru should probably even like just go to the Admiral and say, we have a lead on the
Right.
burn. And he would have been like, okay, that makes sense. Have Burnham go off. That's her specialty, going off. And
Yeah, I
doing
think there was
missions.
this is one of the few times where I thought she was really justified because you can't really leave Book behind. It'd be like what I wouldn't leave either of you guys behind if like you sent your cat with a message, you know what I
How
mean?
could
Like
she? How could she leave? How could she not go and help this dude she spent an entire year with and is probably like in love with?
yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
Well,
come
yeah.
on.
Yeah, so I kind of bought it this time. Unfortunately, her record is so riddled with these things that it's like overall that you're kind of like, oh man, Burnham, just once, can you have a good day? Can you have a good
I
day,
like what they're
Burnham? You know,
doing with
it's
her
like-
character more in this season than the last
yeah,
two
me too.
seasons. But you needed those last two seasons to really get to know where she is now. And that whole thing that the original idea of Burnham was the first officer or the lieutenant with caveats. And now she truly is that. And it is well played, and there's a struggle between her and Saru now where he's like, I'm having those nasty feelings I had about her when we were on the
On the
Shenzhou.
Shenzo. Yeah, it
And
was really cool.
I don't like that. And Saru is so gentle and kind. He's even emotionally distraught from even just he's so dramatic about busting her down a rank, right? Like he just be
Yeah.
like, that's the way it is, Burnham, and just walk away. But when Burnham says to him, Saru, you did the right thing. I didn't like that.
Yeah,
I wanted Saru to turn around and
hated
say,
that so
I wanted
much.
Saru to turn around and say, yeah, I know, and just walk away. But
and just
whatever.
no beam out. Like, dude.
Yeah,
So
it was
wait, what's
too many
the
I
scenes.
don't like the
What's
fact
the
that they
deal?
put that
She
in
takes
the
her badge
script,
off.
actually. Okay, yeah, we're gonna talk about that. But just
Burnham.
to
Oh, by the way,
finish-
I just
finish
made
on
this
that,
into. Oh wow, look at that! I just
To-
made
to-
this into.
a discovery badge.
I didn't
To
even know.
finish on that,
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that. That's cool.
I would have
All right.
enjoyed it if they didn't put that in the dialogue at all, because I feel like this is the one time where maybe Burnham could have been a bit, I don't know, humbled by the whole thing and be like, fine, like this was stupid. And she could have not tried to fit in that last word, like, oh, by the way, you're right on doing this. I didn't like that she said that at all.
That whole scene was
I
good right up until then. It was like, okay, you kind of pushed it too far. Like and then even Saru turns around and says like a whole thing. Then I'm like, no, just keep it simple. Like
There's a lot of
I-
scenes in
it was a good
Discovery. I like every episode of Discovery could be
Overall.
cut down 5 to 10 minutes. And
No.
maybe seconds, but probably
but they
not
could have more
minutes.
special effects.
no.
I think they could have more ship shots. The ship shots.
No.
could be
Don't
slower.
give them more special effects. They'll just make roller coasters. I legitimately think you could like cut down 5 minutes to each episode, or even 7 each episode, because there's always these pieces of dialogue that you could just tweak and cut off and like get rid of that, get rid of that.
No, I disagree.
Damn it.
See, Kavalina
You-
says,
you
"I'm
just
in love
you
with."
just want hour-long
Shave it here
episode.
and there.
I do. I'm in love with the Admiral. I am in love with the Admiral too. What do you
we
guys
need
think
to
of the
talk.
Admiral?
We need,
The Dadmiral,
sorry.
as they're calling him on Twitter.
we
What?
need to talk about the fact that she took off the badge. You're right at the end, and I feel like
Yeah.
she's quitting. I feel like she's just leaving. And
I
that-
hope
now,
not.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I saw the preview
I-
for next week's episode, so I don't think so either. But I don't know. It was a little weird that she's going through something. Burnham's actually going through something big in this season, and I don't know if she's really revealed it to anyone or the audience, or even discovered what it is herself. There's a lot of intrigue going on. I just hope it doesn't fall flat. I really like kind of all the setups, even if I'm annoyed with some
There's
of the things. But I hope they do come out.
There's one
What's in
picture I
the
gotta
middle
show you guys, and I don't know what it. I want to share my screen, but I don't know what it is, right? And what is that exactly?
Oh,
That is part of Emperor Jojo's flashback, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. And it
it's a
looks
person.
like it's Black Panther, right? Like what is it?
No idea.
I think this is the body that she was holding with the hand, with her blood on the hand or something, or the blood on the hand. And I'm like, is this? I feel like these are scenes that we haven't seen, because I was expecting the flashback to be comprised of only season 2 or season 1 moments, but this is new footage, right?
Yeah, we've never seen this before.
No,
I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I think what's happening to her is that where her universe, I guess, has moved so far away from her, and now the revelation that she's pretty much alone is having some kind of effect on her to where she may slowly be developing a conscience. And perhaps the most
Oh, that-
traumatic or regrettable moment of violence or revenge in her life is coming back to haunt her, and this memory is actually causing her to have a panic attack and actually become catatonic.
Oh, I like that.
at
That's
times.
interesting.
So,
That's interesting. She killed her own son or something to gain power, or whatever it is, and now that's coming
something
back
could be
to
something
her.
like that. Yeah.
I love Bluetooth nacelles, Yosef. Very good. That's what they are. They're Bluetooth nacelles from now on. That's
All right, I'll
very
stop sharing.
true. That do you have other screenshots? Because I want to see the refit discovery if you have it from the
I
bottom
know
that
you
shot.
do. I know.
I want to see them all. Put them on. Put them on.
Is this what you want to see? Do you want to see
Wait,
that?
hold on. No, I want the bottom
I
shot.
wonder what will happen when it spins. Will the detached nacelles?
I don't think
spin
I
like-
have what you're
I
looking for
love
right
it.
now. I have this.
We'll be seeing these on Text Trek tomorrow for TQIF, I'm sure. 'Cause
Yeah,
Text
he'll
Trek
have
does a
all
great
that.
job. And Father
I
is
have
here, by
this.
the way. All right, let me see. Look, there's no more connectors between the two discs. That's interesting too. Anyways, that's it. But
that's
I want to
that's
see that
that's
shot.
how it looks in Calypso.
That's not how it looks in Calypso.
There's these theories jumping around that we're no longer like every time there's a new season of any Star Trek, people are like, oh, the theory is they're no longer in the same universe. But I mean, I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But I'm genuinely confused as how they're going to be able to like kind of retcon Calypso into this now.
Have you noticed how there's no mention of? I should do it in the voice. Have you noticed how there's no mention of Zora and like the fact that Discovery is this like sentient AI is living in it and stuff, and how
It's very true. Are you allowed to
Starfleet has
refit it?
dealt with that during the refit? Like, do they say, "Hey, you got like a sentient computer in your computer banks here? You want us to purge it?"
That's
or what?"
really
Oh,
it's really
wow.
interesting.
I feel like almost they should have just put it on the side and be like, well, this is not a ship, it's a life form. We need to leave it here and not use it because
the ship has the sphere data and they know about that, but has it been downloaded now to the base? Like there's a lot of questions that come up about that. By the way, just for your video, you did get the self-sealing stem bolts in your Easter eggs, right? They were mentioned in this episode.
Yes.
Did you?
I got the Type 2 phaser, the phaser from Next Generation.
Okay, cool.
I got the bucket of badges too. There was like a bucket of Discovery badges.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, she picks up a bucket and there's like all these Discovery badges, like Federation ones and Klingon insignias as well.
Hello, SC. How do you like anything that has a bottle episode plot? Maybe that's true. I don't know. We have lots of data of Starfleet Boy episodes to go back. And
I think it works best for Star Trek as of now. Like I think the episodic nature works best for Star Trek. Like it's been tried and proven very well in '90s, and I think that the heavily serialized format has not been proven so well as of late. But yeah.
Braxton, who can chat today. Yay, Braxton. Hello. Michael had to free Book from slavery. She loves him. The spinning kissing scene was beautiful. I squealed with joy. Sonequa Martin Green is so beautiful.
There seems to be some confusion about what did she lie about them being a couple? Were they a couple?
No, I think she just realized it. Yeah,
I think they weren't, and I think her being completely focused on finding the black boxes from the starships to find out the different times they exploded, possibly, and I guess zero in on the coordinates or the origin of the burn.
So I like also that like everyone thought the burn happened simultaneously, but Burnham is in fact finding out that no, it wasn't like that, and it may have appeared so, but it wasn't. And so
it's a bit far-fetched to think that no one scavenged for black boxes before, and no one ever noticed that, like, because just 2 black boxes gives it away that the burn didn't happen at the same time simultaneously.
I think she has 3 now at the end of this episode.
She has 3 now. I'll give that a pass because I find the intrigue pretty good, ultimately, and I like the idea of an organized terrorist attack where like a certain group posted itself in multiple sectors and initiated like the burn from different areas. I prefer that than a general, oh, the galaxy did this. You know what I mean? Or like, oh,
The
it's
great bird.
universe. Yeah,
The great bird of the galaxy.
the universe
That's
happened to do something yet again. Like I prefer that because it takes the scale down a lot, and I think it's smaller and better, in my opinion.
Gute Abend wohl, Kirsch. Welcome from greetings from where we are to you. I think I said Guten Abend correctly. I'm not sure. It might be
Bonjour.
It might be Gute Nacht. Gute Nacht. Bonjour. I'm not sure. Let us know if you're still there. If you're still there, let us know.
Yakshimash.
I don't think Nielsen has been set up enough to justify her becoming the new number one. She's barely had any screen. That's true. Maybe did PJ mention it was? PJ said maybe Reese or
you
Bryce?
know what's frustrating me with this bridge crew is that we're 3 seasons in and I don't fucking know these people. I really don't. I know a bit more about Kayla and Oo, but like Bryce and Reese are just still these background dudes who just every time you see them, most of the time they're just smiling
they do a
or
fist
reacting.
bump
It's like they're void of personality. I mean, they have
reactors.
them, but they haven't showed us enough. And then they bring in new characters like Adira, who's fine. Like I don't have anything against her, but like, by the way, they're doing like an adoptive parent situation. I think with Culber, Stamets, Adira, and
clearly.
Gray. That like they're like Culber and Stamets will acknowledge Gray, like when she's in the room. They can't see her, but like.
Yeah, they acknowledge
The
her.
whole thing about her talking to
well, we always acknowledge Bob whenever Truck on the Tube brings him up. And
But yeah, we acknowledge him. We just tell him, shut up.
SC, I think we already talked about the flashbacks, but just to add on to them, PJ's idea was really good. But I also wonder if she, it makes the most sense what you said about her.
I want them to give me do something with Bryce. There's one earlier episode in this season where I think it's Reese gets the bridge. He's like, you have the con, and like you don't see him do anything. It's
right.
Like, I don't know. You don't see these guys really do much, but be at their stations.
I'm taking it that Pollard is the chief medical officer at this point because
I have no idea.
She gets a mention in this episode, like Pollard did this or whatever. Well, Pollard will fix him up, talking about the Andorian guy that they save, which I don't know if he's going to become a thing.
I don't know.
But I'm like, she must be chief medical. My brain needs to find a chief medical and a chief engineer.
I was going to say, like,
I was like Reno. I'm assuming it's Reno.
No, there is a chief engineer that we haven't seen, and we've actually seen.
Reno replaced him.
Are you sure? Did they say
that?
No,
I don't know. I don't think so. That's Toddy's.
That's my theory.
Yes,
we've presumably we've seen the chief engineer because they've shown all the crew in like one shot type of thing.
Oh, interesting.
Oh god! So they have to go through and look at the ranks.
We have to go. Someone, George, go take care of that. No, I'm just kidding. I would never tell George what to do. But SC says Burnham's doing what Chakotay should have done in Voyager, and so far from what I've seen of Voyager, I have to agree. Chakotay did pull back too often. Be the screw the Starfleet handbook character. Yeah, I agree with SC. What do you think, Voyager fanatic Sean, about that statement?
I think Chakotay didn't get enough screen time, and we didn't see him shine enough. But I think he was good in his job. Like your job is not to undermine the authority or the decisions of your captain. That's not your job. But your job is to like question certain decisions. I suppose.
I think B'Elanna's like kind of like that, right? In the beginning,
B'Elanna's very rogue, but there's a whole character arc that it's very interesting how B'Elanna grows. I haven't seen that kind of growth in Burnham yet. You know what I mean?
I'm starting to see it a lot in season 3, actually.
I love Burnham in this season. I think this is the best Burnham we've ever got.
No, not you. I was talking to. Yes, I agree on that. This is it's the best season. I think that every concept and idea that they've had for Discovery so far is now correctly being executed in season 3.
Certain things. It's not like I find the show is still up and down and a little bit frustrating, but it's less frustrating than the previous 2 seasons.
It's a lot of the baggage from the first 2 seasons. I feel that kind of because like sometimes they'll do something, and I'm like, oh my god, they're doing this again. But if the first 2 seasons hadn't existed, I wouldn't have that feeling.
Like Dead Lover Ghost, which I that's the only thing about this episode that was
you know what
kind
I
of
mean?
worrisome.
I'm like,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't feel that like the discussion where Saru demotes Burnham. It's very emotional. There's a lot of music. It takes a long time to get done, and it works for the scene individually. But it's like every single moment of Discovery is always like that. It's always so long, so emotional. You know what I mean? And it's if I didn't have 2 full seasons of that kind of stuff, especially things that don't even have payoff, because like they do this whole thing with Tyler and Burnham, and he doesn't exist anymore. They just canceled the character.
I like Giorgio
wouldn't feel it as much.
reference Tyler in this one. That was funny. Stress Free K, welcome to the stream. I think Vance will eventually allow Burnham to be in charge of the burn hunt aboard Book ship if necessary. I don't know that.
Task force, right?
What's that?
Listen, the thing with
For a task force.
Admiral Vance is the type of guy that I kept thinking in this episode when Burnham went rogue and after Saru rejected her. I thought like maybe Admiral Vance might have been on board with this like totally. I mean, it's not she can go with Book ship.
Yeah.
And there's a big question of I'm not sure how Giorgio and Burnham leave and how they're not like detected or stopped or warned and how it's like a secret. And another thing, how do these captains in the room at the beginning, how do they not know about Discovery's abilities when the thing actually did a jump right from like in front of all the ships? So like this didn't get out 3 weeks into their. So that was a little bit dodgy. I didn't think that.
I'm guessing they didn't understand. I'm guessing they didn't understand what was going. Like the telemetry shows in your scans that the ship was there and then it wasn't, but you probably wouldn't be able to understand what happened.
No, I mean, but chances are somebody might have physically looked out a window and saw it like jump,
spin
and
around.
Like, what the hell was that? The word would have gotten around somehow. You know what I mean? Like, it seems a bit odd that.
It's only like I think
the way
they
ideally
have a magical ship.
I want to answer your two things. The thing about Burnham, just my idea. The thing about Burnham and Giorgio escaping, it's easy for me to imagine that they're going back and forth between the ships. But you're right. You're right in the sense that like they would have had to have gotten clearance from Space Dock, I guess, like control, like to leave, right? Like, so yeah, that does make sense. But that's
the starbase is aware that Book ship is there. Like,
it seems to tractor beam it in too.
Yeah,
that's a really good question. Maybe they made up something, and there should have been a fun. Maybe one of those 5 or 7 minutes that Toddy wants to cut out should have been reallocated to stealing the Nautilus, and having like a cool scene where they actually bypass the security and stuff like that. But
their adventure was okay. I just didn't like the quarry. Most of the quarry stuff and the
was great.
Orion, but there was a great moment when they start like gunning people down in the ship at the end. That was a great hero moment, and that has some of the best visual effects I've seen in the show so far. Like that whole collapse, and I love how Giorgio's like full on Giorgio at the end is like, fuck this place, and she just blows all the ships and makes them crash down, and what a great shot that was. So
that was a great shot.
I give it credit for that. So it was a mixed bag. Like it has some annoying things, but it was a strong episode in my opinion.
That shot of the Nautilus like sideways coming through the smoke in the factory was really good. And are you shaking your head? Yeah.
No, it was great. Okay. I don't like Into Darkness. It's probably the Star Trek film that I like the least, but it gave me like the quality of Into Darkness, right? Like when the ship's coming down at the end and it's coming down on San Francisco, whatever it is. It gave me that kind of vibe to it. And
it was a very big.
I liked the whole factory thing. I know that the factory seemed kind of like, I suppose, old-fashioned. It seemed kind of contemporary, as in very much today styled. But it reminded me a bit of what we're seeing in The Mandalorian currently, where we're exploring these different places, and not every place is always up to date with the latest tech. And this is a scrapyard anyway. You don't really need to like a shelf is a shelf, right? Who cares what it looks like? So I think it looked good, and I liked all of the exterior shots. It was a pretty well directed episode too. I gotta say.
Whoa! A ton of comments just came in that were not there before. Sorry,
Boom.
audience. We're
How did
having our
there was a
discussion,
question
and
of
I didn't realize.
how did Burnham and Giorgio get back and forth so fast?
You mean get back and forth with the ship?
I like shout out to Dom.
They just warped in and out.
Tom from Trek Central, who said
So
it's the speed of plot that determines how fast you get from one place to another, because it takes like 12 months for a signal from Terra Elysium to get back to Burnham, but wherever they went today in today's episode only took them like 10 minutes at warp, whatever. So
it doesn't work in Enterprise, doesn't work in Voyager, it doesn't work in anything.
It doesn't work in any Star Trek.
It doesn't work in Game of Thrones.
It doesn't work in anything.
Some people take a million episodes to walk from like one castle to another, but then others can Others can sail halfway across the world in like half an episode. It's fine.
It's the speed of plot. But I thought the same thing, PJ. I had the same exact thought like when I was watching it, and I just was like, oh yeah, it's like just one of those things you can't really even like try to analyze. You have to stretch the imagination really far.
It would seem that in this season of Discovery, it's established that they are like these, what are they called, the merchants, what are they called, the couriers. They're given just the amount of dilithium that they need to go from one point to another. So it would seem that if they're given a small crystal, they can only go so far, and then I suppose the crystal cracks and then it's gone, and then the crystal disappears. But dude had the entire supply of dilithium from the Discovery in his thing, so maybe they could cram a whole bunch of dilithium crystals and go super fast, and go super far with all of their crystals. I don't know. I'm inventing stuff, but
can we talk? What's everybody's worst, like your least favorite scene in the entire episode?
I think it would be that moment where you were talking about in the beginning with Burnham and Giorgio on they're just talking about how Tyler and how she's fallen for this guy, and it's like I didn't really need that cringe moment.
It felt like CW talk. You know what I mean? Like it didn't.
Yeah, it felt a bit super girlish. And this one moment, and I know everybody loves Mary Wiseman, Tilly. I think that sometimes she's really good and sometimes she's not as good. And I noticed that just before, I really liked the discussion that she had with Saru, but just before that, she was doing that thing where she's telling everyone like, "Oh, you do this, you do that. We have to prepare this, we have to prepare that," and then she's like looking at the holographic specs that come up. First of all, I didn't really understand why an ensign is organizing and orchestrating all of this, but also I found that her performance it felt very acted. Like the way she was reading off the thing, like she was pretending to be, I don't know, it felt very pretend, right? Make believe, kind of.
You know what felt kind of ingenuine when they're all getting their tutorials on their badges and stuff, and Reese and Bryce are like smiling at each other and they're all. That kind of felt weird. I don't know. I can't explain it. When I was watching, I'm like, this seems.
It's
phony.
Because you understand with your brain that they refit the ship without having to change the set. They're like, we have the same set, but we can just CG things to make it look cool now.
Yeah.
And everyone's acting like it's all, oh, this is brand new, and it's like it's not. Y'all didn't want to change the sets.
They have the license to change the sets though now, and it wouldn't be a big deal because she does say that the programmable matter is made to look like what you were used to. So once they start getting used to it, they can just start being like, well, it works better if this is this way, and if it works better if it's this way.
I would have loved it streamlined, just like rip everything out and have it look like.
I was hoping they would paint it that same gray as all the other ships of this era. Anyways, my least favorite scene was the gray Adira Stamets dinner scene. Even though I thought it was an important scene, it just the whole dead boyfriend thing disturbs me for some reason. I'm not sure why. Like it just like bothers me that she could talk to her dead boyfriend and like it's a haunting, it's a ghost. Fathery thinks that it's easier than ever to connect things up to Calypso now. Check out Text Treks. That's a really good reason to go to everyone. Remember to mark on your calendars at 8:30 p.m.
Calypso doesn't have
Eastern
an A.
time. Check out the Text Trek stream tomorrow, and I'll tell you all about it. So I am looking forward to finding this out, because that is actually something that's on my mind a lot. Is the Calypso? I don't know why Calypso is so important. Everyone's fixated on Calypso. Caleb asked a question. He had a random question for us. Did you guys see that question?
No, where was it? Is this a while back?
I'm trying to find it. It was there, and then like 10,000 comments appeared after, and now I have to scroll, and I don't know if I can scroll back that far.
My least favorite thing about this episode is the Orion, and that scene where the Orion's like catches that guy take a water ration or something, and he's like, let's test out this head exploding thing. We don't know if it works yet. Run, piggy, run! And
the head
like
exploding was jarring. By the way, it was really
it's
jarring.
So cliche, and you've seen it in a million. Like they did in a Running Man. There's like a Suicide Squad. It's just, and the whole thing about like run and like shooting at your feet. It was just.
We haven't had it in Star Trek at all.
They're trying to be a Western or the Mandalorian or something. When they do that, they kind of go there in that like hokey like you got this Orion's a bad guy because. He's fucking sadistic. He wants this guy's head to explode for fun.
This ties in nicely to Caleb's question. Does modern pop culture exist in Star Trek universe, or does pop culture basically end in the 80s, since the 1990s were the eugenics wars and the early 21st century was World War III? That's a really good question.
That's the conclusion we came to on Trek Chat with the Doctor. We came to the conclusion that pop culture, like the timelines split. Star Trek is the prime timeline, and we're like the alpha timeline. But it all split in the 90s, right? It all split before the eugenics wars and before.
Yeah, because it didn't really happen that way in real IRL. Up until then, Star Trek was...
the Avengers never happened in Star Trek.
However, another part of that dinner sequence that I disliked was that Adira says that you're the bomb, and that's clearly slang from the 90s, and I thought she should have come up with a different slang term, so I didn't like that either.
I don't know where they're going with those characters, but right now I don't mean to be mean when I say this, feel very shoehorned in. And they spent an entire episode on Adira, and the whole thing about that was to remember what Admiral Tal remembered, so they know the coordinates for Starfleet. And that now she just feels like a plot device, and unless they expand on the character somehow or do some kind of like more than just this. I mean, I get it. Stamets is getting to know her and discovering the fact that she's talking to her
I don't like
boyfriend. He can relate because he had a dead boyfriend come back from the dead.
They could do like an interesting kid genius thing between Tilly and Adira, where they kind of like, I suppose, have a small rivalry going on, like who's going to be the best this or that. Though Adira's going to win.
They kind of set that up.
Adira being a tech genius really works because now if she remembers like generations back, she has all of this like knowledge of the evolution of tech for the last hundreds of years or whatever
years,
500 years, and
500 years.
So her having a better understanding of like how to fix the spore drive, and she makes it so that Stamets doesn't have to so she's useful there in that, but make her an engineer. Like, you know what I mean? Just she's not.
I think that's the path she's going to. But yeah, I think so.
I'm waiting for everyone to get those new uniforms on, though.
She's gonna have a Wesley moment.
I don't think they're gonna wear the new uniforms.
What if Discovery influences the uniforms to change completely, and they come up with a hybrid between the Disco and the current Starfleet? They're like, we really like those uniforms.
They can't spend that much on wardrobe.
Well, you're talking about uniforms, but I'm thinking maybe ship-wise, like the spore drive. I'm assuming that Starfleet headquarters and the Federation are going to start checking out like what the spore drive is, and they're going to like, we need to adapt this and use this for all of our ships, right? Because they don't know that at this point in time, they don't know that it takes genetic engineering for the dude to run it, and they don't know that it also hurts the mycelial network every time you jump. For them, it's just like it's another way of floating around.
They should be
know
these
looking
things.
into that.
But
I don't. Why would no? The whole thing was deleted, wasn't it?
What about the no, not they shouldn't have the classified information. I'm saying because that's all. I think that was all erased and like buried or whatever.
All of it.
But the fact that they've refitted Discovery and they know it in and out, wouldn't their first priority to be to adapt the spore tech and to completely understand it as much as Adira does? And she's only been there a short while. Like she was there the first day and she figured it out. I mean.
Guys, could the Admiral be harboring a secret about the burn? Could he already know what it is, and that's why he seems a little nervous around
the burn?
I don't think it was
on the violin that burned everything.
I don't think
you put your finger on the one thing that I do not want. I do not want the Admiral to be a bad guy. I don't want him to have any shady secrets or any this or any that. I just want he's kind of harsh sometimes, and I understand where he's coming from because he's very protective of Starfleet and the Federation and how things are, but I don't want him to be a bad guy. I mean,
many
for
people
in this case.
Thank you for taking the tally. Stress-free case says many in the chat have decided that some in the Federation may have started the burn and by mistake or whatever, and are trying to keep that a secret. And Vance, also some people are saying, "Hi, Project Arkiva." Vance seems slightly shady. I think he seems nervous, not shady. To me, there's like this nervousness that I'm detecting, but I'm not sure. There is definitely something about Vance, although at the same time, he's doing really cool things. Like I don't know. I like the character a lot, but I also don't want him to be a badmiral. I like Dadmiral better, but
I trust him. I trust him because of
salvage this. Sorry, Joseph says, and Worf said in First Contact, assimilate this, and then George who says, "Here, salvage this." That could could be a reference. Actually, I didn't even pick up on that.
There you go. Yes. Good job, Joseph.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. The way she says it too, she's like, "Salvage this."
Salvage. I thought it was just like one of those punchlines, but it could be a reference. Salvage this.
There were a couple of ships in there.
That was real cool.
There were a couple of ships like the Hiawatha looking one from the Disco era, but there was one that looked like the Reliant.
Yeah, they salvaged it already, right?
Yeah. Vance will put one of his own as number one is what Stress-Free K is guessing for the ship.
It might be the security, the one that's already been on their ship for a while. That character.
Oh yes. I can't remember her name. She has a cool name too.
Salvage this. I'm writing it down.
I think
cool future security person.
I'm pretty sure Reese is going to be the first officer because when Burnham left the bridge, when she was in command, she gave the con to Reese.
But Saru keeps giving it to Nilsson, and Nilsson had the command in the beginning of this episode.
Okay.
So it's
Nelson.
like an Nilsson. Yeah.
Nielsen or Nelson?
Yeah, I think it's Nielsen. That's how I heard him say it, but it could be Nelson.
I trust Admiral Vance when Saru confesses and Burnham, like he's giving him the dress down. He's like, if he had come to me, I probably would have been on board. When he says stuff like that, I'm like, makes it seem like Saru and Burnham are the ones who should learn to trust a little more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're not trusted. Like Saru is just giving her too many chances, and she keeps screwing him over. And he finally like demotes her, and she's like, "Good on ya," whatever. It's like, okay, now can we get past this shit and just get to what is the burn? Tell me what the burn is, and. Yeah.
Well, next
Unification
episode,
Part 3.
I'm so excited. I have no idea, but anyways, before we get to that,
I don't care about the burn too much, but I would like the ship to kind of fall into like, she's the science officer now. We have a first officer. We have that like everyone has their kind of designated posts, and we have missions. Like we're going to do this mission. They help this species out on this planet. Whatever, they come home. Then they go on this other thing. They salvage a few ships. They find a few black boxes. That's going to help with the burn. But at the same time, they have to help this guy out or whatever. And I would like that. And then like you can still have Burnham as the science officer. So you can still have most of the scenes. Spock had most of the scenes.
I have a weird question. So Earth is not part of the Federation. Andorians are not part of the Federation. And it's looking like Vulcans are not part of the Federation.
We don't know.
We don't know, but we haven't.
Yet.
Have we seen a Vulcan yet?
We've seen a map. There was a map here which said Klingon Zone, Cardassian Zone, and Ferengi Alliance, I think. So I'm assuming that Cardassians, Klingons, and Federation. And
well, why? What is the Federation without its? Without the Andorians and Earth, and we're the Tellarites too. We don't know. But like, what is the Federation without the core worlds? Why would Earth
snubbed by Star Trek?
It worries me. I don't know how to look at it. It worries me immensely that those two planets are
human-centric prick.
Not
you
just,
want Earth to be
not just Earth, but what about the Andorians though? Like the Andorians, it's a big deal that they're not.
I don't like these Andorians. I don't like their faces, these ones. So I'm fine if they're not part of the Federation.
No, but there's classic. You're so terrible. Good grief. Speaking of the Andorians, I like to.
They don't even grow back. By the way,
are they supposed to grow back?
Yeah, they're supposed to grow back.
Really?
Yeah. It's a nitpick, and technically this episode didn't lean either. It seemed to imply that he had been mutilated some time ago and that it didn't grow back. But maybe that's just because he didn't get the proper care or the proper treatment. But they are supposed to grow back.
They did make a disco improvement on the Andorians, though.
They took away the voice modulator, the voice change.
I hated that.
You didn't like the Andorians to talk.
Funny thing is,
all aliens in Discovery season 1 and 2 sound like this. Every single one sound like this.
All of the holograms sound like this in this season.
Yeah, holograms have an echo this season.
I didn't notice it, but Wife on the Tube said I don't like that. She goes, I don't like the voice that they give the holos.
Glasses Man's holograms didn't have the echoes as far as I remember. Booyah. Caleb prefers that it's a terrorist attack as well. I feel how Enterprise was a post-Cold War show in its storytelling. Discovery can be a post-9/11 show in its storytelling. This is true.
I wanted to mention there's one of the captains. He's called, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but I think it's Karachev. Karachev. Anyway, I'm pretty sure.
Is that a reference to the Kardashev scale for civilizations? Probably.
Yes, that's Nikolai Kardashev. He was an astrophysicist.
Yeah, we haven't even gone past a level zero civilization on Earth yet. But supposedly,
I'm pretty sure that's what it was a reference to.
Oh, very cool. Okay. Anyways, what about him?
Nothing. I was just going to say they named him that, and I'm pretty sure they named him that after Nikolai Kardashev because of what you're talking about.
Very cool.
Because of the scale. So I'm pretty sure.
Yosef has a challenge, which is Burnham is growing. She is disobedient as she was in episode 1. Sorry, no growth. They only say she changed, but in reality, she did not. Wow, heavy.
Well, that's kind of how they address that in this episode. I find that's the whole.
I think
she's definitely not growing as a Starfleet officer. What she's becoming is somebody who does not want to be. She does not want to be a Starfleet officer, and she's not accepting that fact yet. And she's playing along, and she's acquiescing to being a part of the Discovery crew because they love her, and they all love each other. But it's getting to a point now where she's now demoted to science officer, and she's still gonna, whenever she gets the chance, if she doesn't get the authorization, she's gonna go anyway and do what she wants. So
I think Saru's gonna sanction her next time.
I want her to get to a point where
she lose a rank every episode now. By the end of the season, she's like Henson.
She could very well be on her not a part of the crew by the end of the season, and I think that's a path that because she's had this year with Book and now she's back to being an officer, I think she can't quite make that transition as well, and she's a different character. And I think what will happen is, and I have no idea if this will happen. But she's going to find out the burn. The story's going to end nicely, and she's going to go off with Book, and that's like the big hook for season 4 is like, Michael's
it was
gone. What's going to happen next? Is she going to come back? Or
I think it was a mistake for her not to accept the captaincy. I think that discussion with Saru should have happened. I think she was like trying to. Yeah, she's a lot. She's lost in many ways.
not
She's
a
grown into.
fair discussion, though. I disagree with Pike, and that is the one thing I disagree with Pike on. It's Pike had authority and he had an objective kind of viewpoint, whereas if you have this discussion take place between Burnham and Saru, every discussion ends with Burnham winning because she has major authority and he just backs down on everything.
That's
If she if she
that's
said
Saru's fault.
if she said if she said I'm captain, he would have said okay, and she did that. She said you're captain, and he said okay. She decided that he was captain. She gave him the captaincy. She turned the chair.
More the reason why that's what I'm saying is like, I guess that's the thing, like PJ's kind of touching on too, is that she's really not doing what she should do still. So she should have gone for the captaincy. I think she would have been a great captain. I think it also would have,
I don't know about that. I think she was a good acting captain.
She was a good actor. At the very least, though, I think it would like prevent her from as a captain, you have more prerogative, right? Like if she wanted to go save Book, she could have gone to save Book or convinced the admiral. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the fall would have been greater if she disobeyed the admiral.
What happened? It's a good discussion. What happens is Burnham is good at doing missions. All right. Let's forget about the rulebook and everything. Burnham is good at executing missions and saving people and doing that kind of stuff. It so happened that in episode 5, that mission was a sanctioned one. And so, of course, she did it really well. She gave the orders really well. She managed the ship and the crew. And that was great because that was her mission to do. It just so happened that it was the legal one. If you gave her captaincy, she would choose to do so many missions that are just against Starfleet rules. PJ's talking about it. She's not cut out to be a Starfleet officer. She may be a really genius person and all of these qualities that she has, but she's not cut out to be Starfleet, I think.
But I think in the first 2 seasons, she definitely could have gone on that path to being a decent captain. But what's happened to her in the past years changed her in a way where it's like she doesn't want that kind of responsibility. And I think if Saru was like, hey, you be the captain this season, she would have clashed with Admiral Vance, and she would have, if he didn't approve of something, and she'd be like, well, Book's in trouble, she would have went rogue with the Discovery, and the crew would have followed her, and she did build up this like contentious relationship. But the fact that she's just the first officer and Saru's like, he's really trying to cover for her, and he's doing his best to be the mediator, but he's really not acting like he should. He should have gone to Vance and said, Burnham might go rogue, so let's just sanction her for it or something. And I think Vance would have been on board, but you had to have all the drama, of course, and all that.
I honestly think that it would have been interesting if Saru had been real upfront, like the moment he came in. And they had the initial, in 2 episodes ago, 1 episode ago, they have Burnham, Saru, Adira discussion, and then you have what's his name, Saru, say to Admiral Vance, look, we got to talk about something. And he goes, Michael Burnham, and he goes, this is the history that this Starfleet officer has. She's been a year off the ship, so we don't even know how she is right now. And he should, it would have been interesting if he was straight up front with him, I don't know how she's going to act, and she's readjusting to the Starfleet life. I'm not saying we're going to cut her some slack, but you might, be advised, she might do some things that are kind of strange. And maybe he would have been understanding to that, or at least, it would have been more expected.
Michael solved the problem of how it took 3 weeks for the ship to get to the Federation headquarters, but that they only got to the planet in 20 minutes. So they took Grudge off and the ship got faster. So Grudge was weighing down the ship. I love Grudge, by the way. Someone's C. Schlebina.
I'm sorry, but Michael said bring back the TNG Andorians a few, and how dare you, sir? The TNG Andorians are disgustingly terrible things. I would love to see how someone manages to shoehorn them into some sort of episode of Star Trek. Lower Decks would do that, but goddamn, they're hideous things.
SC, I am way behind in the chat, but I think we're almost caught up and we're coming close to the end of our discussion. So audience, get ready to start rating on a scale of 1 to 10 to let us know what you thought of this episode. Michael also says, as a person who has had several massive cats who aren't fat, I understood this issue. That's funny. I love my cat, but he's too skinny. He needs to gain a little weight.
The
Arthur needs.
gravitational pull joke, it's a very old joke at this point. That, oh, you're so fat, you have a gravitational pull, or like things orbit around you. It's I know it's very old and overdone, but I still smiled at it. I was like, that was funny. Joju's mocking the cat. I was like, that still worked for me.
Stress Free K brings up that Kirk and Archer would do this kind of stuff too, except for the mutiny, but had no consequences. And that's why I'm saying, like, maybe she just needs to be a captain because she would have a lot more prerogative to go off on these crazy missions. Maybe she should have chosen to be captain so she could. She's just making it hard on herself.
I forgot to tell you, behind the scenes a bit, but Sahel and I, we were talking about how I would have been freaked out in the previous episode. They arrive at Starfleet headquarters, and basically Starfleet just they don't send them any audio or video message. They just send them like a text, and they say, "We're taking control of your ship, and we're stealing your 3 officers." And they jack 3 officers off the bridge, and they take complete control of the ship. I would have been freaking out. I would have been terrified of that. And I was talking about that with wife on the tube, and she said, "You know what?" And we were talking about Archer and like Kirk and how all of these other captains, they wouldn't have reacted the same way as Saru at all. Like the moment they arrived in front of that bubble, they would have been sending messages to the bubble before going in. They wouldn't have been like, "Oh, they're expecting us." They would, no. We need to talk to someone, and kind of like establish the terrain before. Anyway, I like putting different characters in different shows and see what happens. Like Burnham,
I feel like
every show you put her in, she ends up in the brig.
I feel like Discovery goes out of its way to not do some of the standard protocols that we're so used to, or to do them off camera, and for us to like kind of assume that they were done. And I think that's what that's the thing about Discovery is like you don't get like, I think that's what's jarring about it sometimes too, is that like you don't get those like expected Starfleet protocols that you want to see, even though you've seen them 15 times over and over again.
Can you picture Captain Picard dealing with Burnham? You disobeyed a direct order. You know,
because
he'd be yelling at him.
Ro Laren is the worst that Picard had to deal with, and he was offended by like how she was, right? Imagine this dude having to deal with like even people like Stamets. Oh my god!
I think Burnham should be.
I love this comment.
I think Burnham should go back to season 1 and be a specialist Burnham, where she's a special officer that is focused specifically on the burn. I think it would be in Starfleet's best interest to just assign her that task and have it be done, and instead of this constant, I'm trying to be an officer on a ship now, but I gotta go rogue again. I hope they don't do that.
I hope so too. Yosef says, Starfleet boy, I'm not sure what drugs you are on, but I want the dealer's contact. Burnham as a captain. I would be more convinced to have a burlesque dancer. I'm not on drugs. I'm on the drugs of life.
She does a great job in that mission in the last
She really does.
But as a sustained captain, I think Saru is a little bit better for the job overall, even though he needs to learn to be a little bit more to dole out the discipline a little harsher. Oh, by the way, Linus, the Linus gag.
Oh yeah, that was really funny where he keeps bouncing around everywhere. Yeah, Linus
that concerns me. How's he not
Linus
knowing,
is the comedy relief.
Like
basically.
He accidentally beams himself like outside the ship or something.
We seem to have lost Trek on the tube temporarily, but I think he'll be back. He's attending to the baby on the tube. What did we not talk about? We talked about Tilly. We talked about everyone. I think we covered everything. PJ, are you ready to... Do you have anything else in your notes?
I don't have notes.
They're all in your mind. All right, so I'm going to give this episode an 8.7.
That's pretty low.
I know. I went
Oh,
I went
wow.
below the 9. I
You
did.
hate this episode.
No, I don't hate it.
You hate
That's
it.
not true. I don't hate it. I
No,
don't hate the episode. Did you hear my rating, Sean?
he
Did
can't
you
Hey,
hear my
hear you.
rating? Hey,
What?
did you hear my rating?
I didn't, because my headphones got disconnected. I hope it didn't
Just
make an like,
just
didn't
guess
do
what
an
his
echo.
rating was. Just guess.
Yeah, guess my rating.
10.6.
No, we haven't gotten to a 10 yet this season of Discovery. I've been doing 9
Really?
point somethings. Yeah.
Okay, so it's I don't know, 9.6.
8.7.
Really?
Yes, really.
That's low for you.
For me.
That's interesting. I bet yours is a 6.5.
Mine?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that's what
pointed to the wrong person.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to point. There it is. Yours.
Mine is a 7. I give
Oh,
it a
really?
7.
That's higher than I expected.
Well, I liked some of the scenes were pretty good, and that action scene where, yeah, they're like blowing everybody away, and Giorgio's like, what does she say? Salvage this. That I love that whole sequence, but yeah, before that with the Orion, God, he irritated me. and also the stuff with Adira and her imaginary friend is like okay, but I don't care. Sorry.
I don't like Stamets at all, and I was fine with those scenes. Like Adira managed to make me like Stamets in that moment. So yeah.
My biggest qualms were the Adira kind of scenes. Like, I also want her to kind of do more. Although I was impressed with the upgrades that she did, that was cool. But I just want her and the gray thing to be kind of like decided what it actually is. Like, I just don't. I don't know. I don't want another resurrection. I don't know. I just want.
I also want it to be over. Just like finish that plot line.
Like, or just figure it out and say what it is. Like, you know, it is a little strange. I don't know. It's interesting, but it's also jarring, I guess, for me. And then, like, I think ultimately the Osira thing also is kind of vexing me because it's like it's kind of like Osira came out of. I don't know. I don't know what to think of Osira. I think it's a red herring. Is that the right word for it? Like, we're supposed to focus on Osira, but when we should be focusing on the Admiral. But I don't want that.
Remind
to
me
be the
what
case.
Osira is.
Osira is the
Well, we know now that it's
one of the leaders of the Emerald Chain.
Emerald Chain.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't think the
I was
Emerald
like,
Chain is
Osira.
supposed to be a red herring at all for the burn. I think it's just they needed a couple of like just straight up villains that are around doing bad things so that we can have people do missions. And you know what, like, it's like, oh, we need to find this black box, but we can't just have it floating on an asteroid somewhere. We need it to be in this scrapyard or something so that we can have a mission. And there needs to be nephew guy that blows people's heads up. You know what I mean?
I liked nephew guy. I thought he was a dick, but I liked him. I thought he was kind of a cute
all
dick.
things Orion's a shiny green in this season. Anyway,
He also had the same
I give it
exact green colored
the way.
eyes. An 8?
I give it an 8.
Wow.
I give it the same as it has, not the same pros and not the same cons as last week, but I think these are pretty solid episodes. And I think I'm trying to distance myself from the baggage of seasons 1 and 2. And just look at this show. Like, honestly, if Star Trek Discovery had begun this season, and if straight out the gate it had given us Michael Burnham, we don't know who she is, she pops out of a wormhole, arrives in the future, and this is happening, I would be pretty happy with this season as it would be.
That's why I say to everyone, you can start with Discovery season 3 and it's okay. Like, there's not a lot of stuff.
Well, we said that about season 2 as well, and you know, we did about episode 3 in season 1.
Where to start? What's your entry point in Star Trek Discovery, folks? Braxton gives it an 8.5. Yosef gave it a 7.5 out of 10. For me, the second highest score of the season. A 9.0. Sympathy tears for Michael. Fathery did not like last week's episode. He did like this one much more than last week. Thanks for sticking with us the whole time there, Fathery. Alexandra 7 or a 7.5, can't decide yet. Shishan Girl gives it a 8.5. I like this episode a lot. Great rescue humor, and we talked about Linus while you were gone. The Linus gag.
I don't like the Linus gags. The sneezing, no. The beaming in, no. The best Linus gag was like the popcorn to Georgiou. That was all right, I guess. But I'm not a fan of the Linus gags. It's not my
No Linus gags for you.
No Linus gags for me.
I do agree that there was a lot of info being dropped in this episode, and I think that it's gonna like make more sense coming up. I'm super excited about next week's episode. I was gonna be on Trek tomorrow, but unfortunately I can't be on to talk about this episode. But the episode I really wanted to be on was the one for next week, which is Unification Part 3. Do you guys have any predictions or any speculation about Unification Part 3? I saw the trailer. I don't know if PJ saw the trailer.
I don't have time. I have to leave, guys. I'm sorry. You guys can speculate away, but I'm gonna have to leave you. Is that okay? I have to run away.
Bye.
Okay, fine. I'll let you guys speculate. We'll see Spock. I hope.
Yes, we're gonna see Spock. That's it. Okay, fine. That's the speculation.
It's safe to assume from the title you will see one kind of species in this episode.
Probably. There'll be a Vulcan, probably.
That's all I know, really. That's all I know about this next episode. They don't really give anything away, but that there's Vulcans in it.
Unless they completely screw us over and it's actually talking about like the unification of like Trill symbionts and it's like an Adira and a Grey thing. All right. Bye, people.
Wait. We're going to leave on this note. Linus is the Jar Jar of Star Trek for Sean. That's an accurate statement for Sean. All right, bye guys. Thank you for joining us. Bye, Sean.
See ya.
Live long and prosper.